Welcome to the NC Everything Podcast. I'm your host, Curtis, and this is the bi-weekly show where I talk about everything that has anything to do with North Carolina. Thank you all for joining the show today. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, I'm up in the old recording room again, our extra room in the house. I wanted to record outside, and about 10 minutes before I got ready to go, it started raining. And I can record in my welding shop I have out there, but with the metal roof, it's just incredibly loud when it's raining. So I had no choice but to surrender myself up here in the old room. But I am thankful that it's not freezing cold outside. It's actually pretty warm despite the weather. Anyway, in this episode, I'm going to tell you about Michael Jordan. I'm not going to spend too much time talking. We're going to jump right into it. Most of you, I'm assuming everybody in the world has heard of Michael Jordan. So here we go. On February 17th of 1963, Michael Jeffrey Jordan was born in Brooklyn, New York. And yes, for a long time, I thought he was a North Carolina native. I found out he wasn't from North Carolina several years ago. It wasn't through this research that I found out. But he didn't stay in Brooklyn for too many years. At age 5, that's 1968, they moved to Wilmington, North Carolina. And some of you may say, well, he's not a true North Carolinian. I've covered a handful of non-native North Carolinians that North Carolina adopted, or they adopted North Carolina as their home. And Michael Jordan is certainly one of them. So at age 5, he moves to Wilmington, North Carolina. This is before he even starts school. Now, he did enroll in school shortly after arriving here. I didn't find a whole lot about his elementary school, but he went to high school at Emsley A. Laney High School down in Wilmington. During his sophomore year, he tried out for the varsity basketball team, and he actually didn't make it. They said he was too short. At that time, he was 5'11". However, he did make junior varsity. Now, Michael Jordan's older brother, Larry, he also played basketball, and Larry's jersey number was 45. So Michael decided to go with the number half of 45, or roughly half of 45, and he took the jersey number 23. And like most of you probably know, the jersey number 23 would follow him most of his basketball career. Now, to no surprise, in junior varsity, he quickly became a star, scoring about 40 points per game. Now, that summer after his sophomore year, he did a whole lot of training. He was hoping to get on the varsity team. And one thing that was out of his control, but it helped him, he did hit another growth spurt, and he grew 4 inches that summer, or over the course of that summer. And so he did land on the varsity team. And on the varsity team, he averaged about 25 points per game. Now, when he was a senior in high school, he played at the 1981 McDonald's All-American game and scored 30 points. I had to look this up. The McDonald's All-American game was a competition between highly sought-after high school seniors from all around the country. And the one in 1981 was the 4th annual game, and it was held in Wichita, Kansas. After high school, he decided to enroll at UNC Chapel Hill. So in 1982, he started playing ball as a Tar Heel at UNC. Now, one thing I did learn through this research was that Michael Jordan, it wasn't just basketball. And I guess this is with every college kid. You have to major in something. He majored in cultural geography because apparently he was actually interested in meteorology. And, I find it kind of funny, not laughing at him. Again, you got to major in something. But the thought of Michael Jordan being a meteorologist or being on TV talking about this rain, it just, knowing what we know about Michael Jordan now, it just seems pretty funny. But as we all know, Michael Jordan was not going to be needing that major. In 1984, he was the 3rd overall draft pick in the NBA draft, and he was picked up by the Chicago Bulls. And in his first season, he was named Rookie of the Year after scoring 28.2 points per game. And I go ahead and tell you, I'm not a huge basketball fan, and the basketball I did watch was usually college ball. I'm more of a baseball guy. But so I say that because I'm not going to go over all his stats throughout this whole podcast, and I'm probably not going to go over every award he won. But just let's sum it up to say that he was pretty successful at almost everything he tried up to a certain point, which I'm going to get to in a little bit. But everywhere he went, he done very, very well. Anyway, 2 years after he signed up with the Chicago Bulls, this is 1986, he played his first NBA All-Star game. And after his All-Star game, he got his first scoring title of his professional career after averaging 36.1 points at this game. So that was 86. Let's fast forward to 1991. The Chicago Bulls, with the help of Michael Jordan, obviously, They beat the LA Lakers and won their first NBA championship. The next year, 1992, had to be a pretty exciting year for Michael Jordan. Again, he was raised in Wilmington. I wouldn't say Wilmington's a little town, but this little map dot on the United States, that's where Michael Jordan was raised. In 1992, he goes to Barcelona, Spain, to play in the Summer Olympics with the Dream Team. The Dream Team, as they called it, was made up of Charles Barkley, Larry Bird, Clyde Drexler, Patrick Ewing, Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, Christian Laettner, Karl Malone, Chris Mullin, Scottie Pippen, David Robinson, and John Stockton. And some people said this was the greatest sports team ever created. Of course, they won gold for the United States in basketball that year. Now we're at 1993, and this is Michael Jordan's first retirement. Now, of course, when this occurred, we didn't know that it was going to be his first retirement, but we know now. At age 30, he announced that he was going to retire from basketball. And he wasn't quitting sports. He was going to quit basketball to go play baseball. And I remember this. I think I was in middle school at the time. And even back then, I wasn't a huge basketball fan, but everybody knew who Michael Jordan was. You didn't have to be a pop fan to know who Michael Jackson was. So when I heard that Michael Jordan was quitting basketball to go play baseball, I thought this was crazy. However, one thing that not everybody may know was that same year, earlier that year, Michael Jordan's dad was murdered in Lumberton, North Carolina. And I may cover the case around the death of Michael Jordan's dad at some point on the show, but Michael Jordan's dad was a baseball player. So I wonder if him quitting basketball to go play baseball was partly him grieving, or trying to honor his dad. Well, he'd go to play for a minor league affiliate of the Chicago White Sox called the Birmingham Barons, and it didn't really go so well. So in 1995, he joined back up with the Chicago Bulls, but the number 23 at this point had been retired when Jordan retired, and so he chose his brother Larry's old jersey number, 45. 1996 rolls around, and he starts working with a movie producer named Ivan Reitman. Is it Reitman or Rittman? We'll go with Rittman. That sounds better. Rittman had made a bunch of movies that you may have heard of, like Ghostbusters, Animal House, Kindergarten Cop. Well, he wanted to make a movie called Space Jam, and he wanted Michael Jordan to star. Now, I'm not sure how successful the movie was on the larger scheme of things, but it did make over $250 million worldwide, plus over $1 billion in merchandise sales. And just in the rare case you haven't heard of Space Jam, Michael Jordan goes to the land of animation, and he plays basketball with Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, Elmer Fudd, all the greats. So the merchandise, and I remember it well. I'm sure McDonald's had Happy Meal toys. Probably everybody did. But you could buy Michael Jordan figurines and all the cartoon characters, and they had the monsters. And I remember enjoying the movie for the most part. Looking back now, it seems a little cheesy. I'm grown now, but I remember really enjoying the movie. Anyway, getting back to basketball. In 1998, Jordan helped the Bulls win their 6th NBA championship. And the following year after that, 1999, was Jordan's second retirement. Early in 1999, at age 36, Jordan announced that he was retiring for a second time, and his only reason really was that he was mentally exhausted. Now, he was retiring from playing basketball, but he wasn't really done with basketball altogether, because on January 19th, 2000, he becomes part owner and team president of the Washington Wizards. But this didn't last too long. 2 years after he became president and part owner of the Washington Wizards, he came out of retirement at age 38 and started playing for the Wizards. Now, during this time that he was playing for the team that he formerly owned, he was still the president of the team, and he'd averaged 22.9 points in 60 games in their first season, or their first season with Michael Jordan. Now, it sounds like he really wasn't doing that great with the Wizards. I don't know if it was age or what, but he scored some points, but I don't think he was really doing that good. And so on April 16th, 2003, after playing a couple of years with the Wizards, Michael Jordan plays his last game in the NBA, and he only scored 15 points during that game. A few weeks after the game, on May 7th, Abe Polland, who owned the Wizards, fired Michael Jordan from his role as the president of the team. And supposedly this was due to the 3 unsuccessful years that Michael Jordan had spent with the team. And I didn't put it in my notes, but somewhere during my research, I had read that Michael Jordan didn't take this kind of hard. I think he said he felt like, to him, it felt like a betrayal. And so after this, Michael Jordan finally retires for the 3rd time from baseball for good. In 2006, he buys a minority stake in the Charlotte Bobcats. I don't think I've covered this yet, but years ago when I was a little kid, we used to have a pro team called Chicago. We used to have a pro team called the Charlotte Hornets, and the Hornets went somewhere else, and we got the Bobcats. So now Michael Jordan is part owner of the Bobcats, and he was. Oh, there's some thunder. He was the acting manager. He was the acting team's manager, and yeah, he would act as a team's manager. My notes got kind of confusing right there. In 2009, he was inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. In 2010, Michael Jordan buys the majority ownership of the Charlotte Bobcats, which had now returned to being known as the Charlotte Hornets. Now I'm going to jump from 2010 to 2020 to wrap the show up. I'm assuming in the 10-year gap here, Michael Jordan had grown an interest in motorsports. Or maybe he had an interest in motorsports all along and I just missed it in my research. But on September 21st, 2020, Michael Jordan and a NASCAR driver named Denny Hamlin, they made an announcement that they were going to be forming a NASCAR team called 23XI or 2311. So now Michael Jordan has the number 23 again. I haven't done a whole lot of research on how their racing team is done, but the racing team, as far as I can tell, is still going on, so they must be successful. Let's see, in 2023, this is a little out of order. Michael Jordan did sell his stake in the Charlotte Hornets for $3 billion in 2023. And that's all my notes for Michael Jordan. As far as I know, he's still kicking it with NASCAR. I'm sure he still tours around and signs autographs. For me, in my lifetime, Michael Jordan, like I said, even though I wasn't a basketball fan, Michael Jordan was certainly a superstar. He was, on another level. Some might even say a demigod, And again, even not being a basketball fan, I can recognize how important Michael Jordan is to the world, But that is all I have on Michael Jordan. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you are a basketball fan, I'm sorry I didn't get into all his stats, and I'm sure there's probably a whole lot of miss there. But I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope the lighting in this little room wasn't too bad, or maybe it was better than it normally is. And I don't think the sound of the rain was too loud, so maybe the thunder was a little distracting, but the rain probably wasn't too bad. But anyway, if you did enjoy the show, don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe because it really helps the show. If you have an idea for an episode, you can email me at thencEverythingpodcast@gmail.com. And if you want more NC Everything content, you can join the Facebook group. You don't have to answer a bunch of those silly questions. You can join right up, and hopefully you'll find even more NC Everything content there. I post when I can, and I know some others do too. But it's a cool place to celebrate North Carolina. Anyway, that's all I have, and I'll talk to you in a couple weeks.